wants to go to a place where they feel feminized, in large majority. And so I agree with you. I think it has been detrimental to creating that warrior, and which means that, I was just talking with some friends today about the idea that, man, it's because they're like, man, that was a little uncomfortable Sunday to stand up. I'm like, good, we should be uncomfortable. But here's my challenge: is we've become a culture of Christians who are hesitant to stand up in a place where everyone else would celebrate it. We're still hesitant to, and yet there are men dying for their faith with zero problem at all. Like they run into those environments because they're so captured by the person of Jesus. They're willing to lay their life down, and we're scared to raise a hand. We're scared to confront and work through hard circumstances. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a culture of passivity, and passivity always kills.
It's crazy, And before we went on air, I told you I love politics, and growing up, I think I loved politics more than I loved Christianity. And not in a negative way, not in like a supplantation of my relationship with Christ. But if I had to choose at a young age to go to church or do something political, it was to do something political, no questions asked. Like I love.
Do you remember why you were drawn to that? Was it purpose? Was it?
I think it's a little bit of both, and part of it is being in America, and this is an American issue, hands down, because I've been around the world. This is an American issue. Everyone's heard of Jesus. There's nobody who needs the gospel shared. And I'm not saying that in don't preach and don't share it. It's readily available. There's a church on every corner. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere. All the grandmas went to church and told all the stories and did all the things. And so it felt like it was just a repeat. There was nothing new. There was no creative thought processes. There wasn't a new revelation. Mm-hmm. It was just wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. Mm-hmm. And the other side of that is, in Christianity, we were taught meekness. I grew up in a church that, and we were taught meekness from a wrong perspective. Like, we caveat that because
not meekness.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Right? But in a political aspect, now it was attached to religion, but in a political aspect, I went down and stood on something that mattered at probably 11 years old. And I was glad when the horses came in and put us in handcuffs and loaded us on a bus and took us away. I could stand for something effectual in the political realm.
Yeah.
There was nothing to do that for in the Christianity realm.
Yeah.
Like it just didn't exist. Right? I played football. I wrestled. I wanted conflict. I didn't want to hurt people. But I wanted that warrior conflict, that overcoming, that
adversity.
Yeah,
yes.
That's great, Mike. Yeah, adversity. I know. I was thinking last week, what draws, because you have a generation of people who graduate high school and then they leave church, leave that, even the community of people. And when I say church, I mean the people of God, not a building. And they kind of step away, and part of that's just kind of discovering their own path and their own faith and all that and where they stand. But I'm like, what draws a young man into the military, or woman into the military? Like, they are going from a place that is, no matter their home life, they now have the ability to have the freedom that they wanted for 18 years. And yet they choose to submit themselves into regimented discipline. And I was like, what draws that versus a young man who's going, man, I want to go to war spiritually. Like, I want to be in the thick of spiritual things. And I think it's one that there's an element of trust. Like, they're going to trust me to drive this. They're going to trust me to shoot this. They're going to trust me to lead this. And they're, 18, 19-year-old young men. I'm like, boy, there's an element that I think we're missing on some of those, like you're talking about that. Because I was that way. As a young man, I remember going to youth group and being like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, I just, and my friends around me, they were nice guys. They loved it and stuff, but I always felt out of place in church. And it wasn't that I wanted to go live this sin-filled life. It was like, I just wanted something more than just hanging out and that passive approach to life. And there was just something in me that burned more than what I saw in churches. And I found it in the world for sure.
100%. I did too.
Yep.
I went there for 20 years.
Yep.
I'm 40. Let's see, what year is it? So I'm 42 now. I have to. I forget.
I'm too, man. I'm 42.
Okay, so 83. Yeah, I forget how old I am.
I'm the old person here.
Right.
Mike, how old are you?
43.
Oh, all right. You are the old man.
Right?
And so I left at 18.
Yeah.
I really did. I went in the military. I did 10 years in the military. I went and worked on the slope. I did construction. Went through a couple of marriages, owned some bars, did too much drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I found it in the world. And now I'm 42 years old and I'm struggling, trying to find a way back.
Yeah.
Not worthy.
Hmm.
And the church is full of us.
Mm-hmm.
The church is full of the 42-year-old who has already destroyed their life, already went through so much garbage, trying to find a way back. We know we're not worthy. So then there's a thing now of, I have something to say. How do I stand up and say it without being two-faced?
Yeah.
Right? I've learned it through the experience. I've got the knowledge now. Wish I could have had it 20 years ago. Right? If only.
Yeah.
But
it's also shaped us who we are today.
It is. It is.
It's a weird dichotomy in that thought.
Yeah. And so, how do you stand up at 42, 43 years old and say, I got something to say, listen to me, let me share it, open your heart. Oh, and by the way, I screwed up the last 25 years, so there's this weird balance, right? And if we can find out how to capture that warrior ethos, how to put it into something just brutally real
Yeah.
from a young age and not have to do the recovery at 42 years old.
Yeah.
At 45 years old, at 50 years
Yeah,
old.
that was a hard thing. It's like, I moved out at 17, moved over to Seattle, and I was making way too much money for a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old kid. And yet I found some friendships that I had been wanting. I mean, even like we go out to bars and go get in fights and stuff, and I'm like, man, these are my guys. Like this, and in a weird way, there was like a loyalty that I'm like, this is what I've been looking for. And obviously, it's destructive in so many ways and all that. But I think coming into my life now, where I'm like, man, I've seen a place in the world my wife has never seen. She hasn't seen that side of the world. She hasn't been in the dark places. I mean, I ran quite a bit of different substances from Seattle to Spokane for quite a while, and I thrived in those environments, and it was a lot of dysfunction in the middle of that, but there was something that was being fed in that life. And so me doing what I do now, I'm like, man, I but for the grace of God for me, like I have escaped jail and prison time more times than I can count. And yet the guys around me that are still doing time, that are still in there, they're still in that whole world. And I'm like, why did I escape it? And my only thing is like, God had a purpose for this. And then I started studying the Bible and realizing like everyone up Jesus' lineage was all screwed up. They were all doing the same stuff, man. They were wild, crazy. I'm like, oh, if God can use them, shoot, maybe there's something about the things I've learned in life. And it is hard, being 42, and now you've sown into a lot in your life, and now you're having to reap some of that you don't want to be reaping. But I was telling my wife a couple of years ago, I just had to go. I realized that I had to go to war with myself before I was ever going to be able to fight anything. Like I had to really battle some internal things, some thoughts, some habits, some dynamics in my life that I'm like, this is destroying me. No matter what I'm doing on the outside, like this is destroying me quickly. And she looked at me one day and she's like, man, there's a piece on you I've never seen. And I'm like, babe, that's because I am daily going to battle against myself. And that's where that whole kind of calling, if you will, or something, like I just started I started seeing life differently. I started thinking differently. Mike, like you were kind of talking about, like there's just a day you wake up and you're like, I can't be the person I was yesterday.
No, it's not a day, but this has been the last couple months.
Yeah, well, but there was a day that started.
You guys are kind of hitting something that I'm just going to be quiet for a while. So
No, I want to kind of hear some of your story.
Yeah. About church?
No, just about the last couple months, man. I am genuinely curious, like what's going on.
Well, basically, I don't know who I am anymore.
Hmm.
When I was drinking, knew exactly who I was. I was the guy that everybody knew. I was the guy that everybody called when they needed something for sound or a bar show. I was the one that was always having a good time, that had great advice for everybody, and would stand up and I'd fight off anybody for you. I knew who I was. I wasn't dad.
Mm.
That's why I quit drinking, because I made a choice between my family's well-being and me being a hero. While I was intoxicated, ended up getting arrested. The whole thing got thrown out, but it didn't matter. It was that moment of realizing that one decision could have seriously affected and cost me my entire family.
Yeah.
So I made the decision right there to get sober. It's like no big deal. I did it. I didn't do it on my own, but I didn't go any treatment or anything like that. I used, I was there with my wife, and the problem was about 6 months afterward, when I couldn't figure out who I was anymore.
So you knew who you were when you were drinking. It wasn't the guy you wanted to be, but you knew at least you knew who you were.
That's the problem. It was who I wanted.
Just not the dad you wanted to be.
I wasn't the dad, though. And that was the thing. If I'm going to make a stupid decision like that, then I need to reset priorities and everything. And then 6 months after that, it was trying to figure out who I was. It's about the time. No, actually, no, that was about the time I started with cooking and everything. 6 months after that, I was like, you know what? I got this. I need to get back to who I was before. I'm going to reopen my company again. And for that first, January, February, everything just seemed to be falling right into place. It was all working great. And then it just kept coming back. Like, what the hell? Why don't I feel the way I did before? I'm an accomplished screenwriter. I've produced major projects. I've helped some bands here in the Valley, get to the point where they're, now touring and jumping to other states and stuff. At this time, I get calls constantly asking me to come take contracts for bars and stuff, and I won't do contracts, but I'll do single events. And so the talent and the business end is there, but something's just not right. And then my son, son's in jail right now. He's going to be till December of next year. He doesn't want to have anything to do with me because I thought I was being a great dad. I thought I was giving him all the, the line, go do what you want. I got this app on my phone. I can see where you're at. Oh, you didn't call last night? Check in. Well, that's fine. I got the app. It's no big deal. What I didn't realize is that I was laying down a foundation to where when I did have to put my foot down on something, it immediately caused him to hate my guts. And it was because of a pregnancy scare and because of the family's reaction to said pregnancy scare. I waited to figure out, what it was going to be one way or the other, and I already made up in my mind, if she's pregnant, then, we got a new couple members of the family, and this is the way that life is going to be. And if she's not pregnant, then you're 16 years old, this is done. And I gave him the opportunity to end it and everything. And that was the day that apparently he completely hates me now. To the point where he wants to stay in jail rather than come home. He was given the opportunity even to come home. And then on top of that, just with the last couple months, I've been around evil. I've done evil. I've never felt evil the way that I feel it now. And I'm not just talking about in people, I'm talking about period, as a whole. Friends that I've known for years that I'm looking at now because of their reactions to certain situations, like, oh my God, that's so evil. And then I started thinking about church and everything. I got a real hard time with churches because of how I grew up and the church that I went to and what they did and everything. And honestly, I gotta say, when I put in my notice for my other day job, it's like, okay, 2 more Sundays. I got 1 more Sunday, Josh. 1 more Sunday, and you're going to see me down there. And between what he's been saying about how you preach, versus showing up and getting told your list of this is what you got to do, and the Bible doesn't say this, but our church says this, that type of stuff. They put me on a pedestal when I was 10 years old, and I ended up, every time that I went to summer camp and everything, I had my own cabin. I had the main house cabin was mine. I didn't go to service. I didn't go to Bible study. I had testimony time where at 10 years old I was having full-grown adults sit down and tell me everything that they had on their soul, on their conscience and everything. They told me I was a healer. They told me that I was a prophet. They told me that I was all of this stuff, and I felt so completely separated and segregated, from the entire situation, and all because of dreams that I had when I was little. My mom went and told somebody who told the pastor, and then it was 7 years.
Wow.
7 years they had me locked in the situation with this church. And it was nuts. So that's where I'm like, no. But at the same time, I've had a lot of really great moments with God too.
Yeah.
I've been able there to hold my baby, and feel the presence.
Yeah.
I know every time I feel pride as a father. That's something that only we can feel.
Yeah.
As fathers, as men. It's a different type of love. It's like it's the same. Like a mom, she can get that superhuman strength and lift that car up off the baby, right? But the dad, we know that car's coming first.
Yeah.
We're able to see the danger in the world, and when I'm able to do that, and it's like, as a father, those are the best moments of my life have all been related to my kids.
So is the hardship, the tension you're dealing with right now, is that mostly just the question of, God, I turned my life around and it cost me?
Exactly. I feel less than, and I know that there's more there. My talent is suffering. I used to be able to sit down and write a whole script in like 4 days. In fact, Peaks and Valleys, I wrote that in 4 days. Now I sit down and I struggle trying to get seen out. If I don't have a clear path in front of me, it's like all my innovation's gone. All my ability to go, oh hey, this would be kind of cool, and just do it is just gone. It's like the idea's there, and then I got nothing. And I see it all. I know you've heard the stuff that I have, and that's my big thing right now is I need to figure out where I went. And
wow, that's a really good quest. Where did I go? Who am I? Where did I go?
But where's that first step, man?
It's just I used to.
Or have I already taken it? That's the other thing. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's another thing. I was wondering, did I already start the road and I just don't even know I'm on it?
Well, I think the fact that you're starting to see, you're starting to not be okay with the things you used to be okay with. Hebrews talks about, the mark of maturity is being able to distinguish between good and evil. And there's I've lived years of this. No, it's all good. I'm just on my own path. It's all good. There's no real. There's evil, but I'll participate in it to a degree. But I'm not going to get real evil, And yet I've been in environments of it. So I knew what evil was, but I didn't know the difference between good and evil until there was just that process of I started seeing things differently, and I didn't even want to. I wasn't searching. I started seeing things for what they were. And I'm like, man, this is messed up, actually. What I just did to this person is so messed up. I remember the last time I ever sold anything, I walked into this house to deliver some ecstasy to a guy. And I walk downstairs, and he's sitting downstairs, and I walk in the house, and he's got 2 girls, and it's like a California split, and he's got 2 girls in diapers, and there's poop all over the floor. There's food. It is your typical meth house. And I walk downstairs, and he's picking scabs, big old biker guy. He's picking scabs off his arm, and I was like, oh man, something just felt uneasy about it. But again, I didn't mind those situations. They were kind of invigorating in a weird way. And I walk out of his house. Excuse me. I walk out of his house, and I think this is probably the first time I feel like God opened my eyes to anything. And I'm walking back out to my truck that's on the road, and the sidewalk that I'm walking from his front door to the road was all cracked. And it was like in that moment, God was like, this is what you're doing to those girls' lives because you want to be entertained, because you want to thrill, because you want to make money. This is on you. And dude, from that point on, I dropped it. I didn't go into that house looking for enlightenment or truth. It was just in that moment, there was something in me that shifted, and I knew, stuff isn't going to be the same again. And I just dropped it ever since then. And it's hard because you lose community, you lose people, you lose some of your identity. All of a sudden now you're like, well, who am I? What am I going to be doing now? So
Exactly. I mean, it got to the point where it was 8 months after I quit drinking, I stopped going to bars and everything, and I found out that people were calling trying to figure out where my service was because they thought that I died.
wow.
These are my friends. Wow. These are my buds. These are the ones that hey, I always got their back. They always got mine. Not a single one picked up the phone.
But
not a single one sent a text message, checked my Facebook, nothing. They just assumed, oh, yeah, well, he finally went too far.
But even in that, like, you and Aaron reconnected.
Yeah.
And in the time that you both are encouraging each other now to move forward in different areas of life and stuff, I see that as just a provision, just a little encouragement in the middle of the battle to go, all right, I can keep going.
Yeah. And now I'm just looking to find that spot again. It's like you were talking earlier about evil and all that. And one thing that I've noticed very much recently is evil doesn't scream at you. Mm-mm. Evil does not scream. Evil whispers.
Yep.
And the one thing I was talking with you, Aaron, about this the other day was the socials. Now the algorithm, because I'm a 43-year-old man who identifies as a heterosexual, doesn't matter if I look or not. Mm-hmm. I get thirst traps constantly, and something caught me, real quick. It was like the difference between, okay, flip real quick, or hey, I'm going to look at this for a second. Well, you look at it for a second, and then the next one you look a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
The next one's longer, and then eventually you're clicking on a link, and it's like that's how it happens. It doesn't say, okay, hey, here's some meth, to a perfectly normal person, and he's gonna be like, oh yeah, absolutely, no, it sneaks it in there. With
I love what you said about evil whispering. That's true.
Yeah, it's a snake.
Yeah.
That's something I can tell you over the last 5 years. We have really learned how to catch those whispers.
Yeah,
we have.
I'm still working on that.
And that's one of the reasons that we do what we do at the radio station. That's one of the reasons that we tell the stories. That's one of the reasons that periodically I come in and sit with Aaron for a 4-hour session and we retell our story because somebody's got to hear it.
Yeah.
And the thing is like 5 years ago, I fired her. She worked for me at a company here in town, and she got there was suspected drug use. I called her in, counseled her, said, "Look, if you need help, we're going to get you some help. You just got to tell us what's going on. We're going to work through with you. I got no problems. Okay, go back to work. But if it comes up again, I can't help you. Like this is your chance."
Yeah.
And she said, "No, I got no problems." 2 days later, tested. Well, came back hot. And I said, "Okay, fire her. That was my duty and the responsibility and the position I held within the company." 2 days later, I called her up and I said, "Hey, as a person, like, for real now, how are you? What's going on in your life? You got no reason to hide it from me now. You don't work for me. You're fired. I'm calling you as a friend. I don't really know you, but I'm calling you as a friend. How are you?" And she dumped it on me, dude. Dumped it, everything. And we went through some different things. Took a few months. We ended up dating. And part of that dating was, you're going through recovery. What's one of the number one rules? No new relationships. You're supposed to focus on yourself. You're supposed to. We broke every rule. Every rule we broke. But part of that was never my world. I've done lots of other things, but that was never. I wanted nothing to do with it for my entire life. I tried it one time when I was 18 years old, one night, and I loved it so much. And I loved the thrill of finding it. I loved the entire night of using it. I loved what the experience was. I loved the next day. I loved the come down. I loved there was not a thing about it I didn't just absolutely love. And I literally had a conversation with myself, and I was like, you can never, ever go to that world again.
Yeah.
Because if you go there, you will not come back. And so I like, fearfully, I stayed out of that world my entire life. Mm-hmm. So it was real easy for me to say, here's the facts. And I said, look, I will be here for every bit of garbage you got to go through. You can dump on me, you can scream, I will hold your hair, like, I will do all the things. The one thing I will not do is for you to go back again and again and again and again. I won't be there for that. You want to get out of it? I will deal with every bit of garbage you got. But I will not deal with you going back to it.
Yeah, that's so good.
And
that's almost the same thing word for word that Anita said to me.
Yeah.
I guess you go back. That's it.
That's it. That's
It's your choice at that point.
That's it.
One simple choice.
Yep.
Well, you know, go ahead.
No, so I was just gonna say. So the biggest thing was she knew she had to give up the drugs. She knew there was certain relationships she had to give up, but you never want to break it all. And so there was a lot of little pieces that she held on to, held them close. She'd text, she'd reach out, she'd have to cross paths, and I would always tell her, it's sneaking up on you, it's sneaking up on you, and she'd no, and all of a sudden something would happen, and she'd get herself in trouble. And she'd immediately come to me and say, this just happened, but I got myself in trouble, and I need you to know I'm not running out, I'm not doing stupid stuff, but I got myself in trouble. And I'd be like, okay, it's sneaking up on you, it's sneaking up on you. And it took us 3 years to where if I tell her, like, she'll start telling me a story of something that's going on in her life, even like just last week. She'll be like, yeah, so this person reached out, we're doing this, and I just look at her and say, okay, this is where you need to exercise extreme caution. She goes, what do you mean? I'm like, it's this. She goes, okay, I don't need to do it. Like, we've worked through it, but 5 years.
Yeah, that's incredible. You know, the question I have to start asking, because, I mean, there's a reason why I'm kind of like you. Like, I never got addicted to things. I tried everything under the sun. I would socially use all that. But it never felt like I was never in a season where I couldn't put it down immediately. But I was the guy showing up to parties immediately going, I'm gonna fleece this party. Because I know there's a bunch of these losers here that are head deep in all this, and I'm going to make some money off of them. So it wasn't like a righteous thing at all. It was actually using people's weaknesses to profit from, which is total dirt.
Oh, but it's their own fault anyway, you know, for putting themselves in the situation.
I'm contributing to that, you know, and so it's interesting. But what I had to start asking myself, and I still ask myself this all the time, is if I'm tempted to some, you know, whether it's an algorithm, whether it's you name it, it doesn't matter. Is my question is, has it ever delivered what it promises?
Ooh.
And it never has. It's in fact, even with drinking, you know, that it's kind of the socially acceptable drugs. Yeah,
it is.
It really is. And yet I'm like, and man, I used to brew beer. I used to love all that stuff. And I had to ask myself, has it ever delivered what it promises me to deliver? I still have the same problems. I'm not engaging with my family. I still run to it for medication. Like, whether it's 2 or 6 or 10 or 12, you know, 20, it doesn't matter. Does it deliver what it promises? And when I look back, I'm like, no, it doesn't. So what does deliver what it promises? And I use that as a question in every single thing that I find my different seasons of life. I'm like, all right, wait, is the way I respond to my wife, is it going to deliver what I think it promises? And if I'm harsh with her, then no, it never delivers relational health. You know, if I for me it's a bottle in a cold bottle in my hand in the summertime. I'm like, gosh, I love that. But does it deliver? Because I know me, I'm an all or nothing guy. I mean, I don't do anything half-hearted, anything. And so I'm like, man, I know that I don't just want to fill that bottle. I want to fill 12 of them. And yet it's not going to deliver what it promises me. And so I had to kind of reprioritize, kind of, Mike, where you're at. It's like, man, I have to prioritize the relationships, the things that I have taken my wife from her parents, from someone else who would treat her well. I brought kids into this world under my care, and I'm going to give an account for that someday. So are the things I'm doing contributing to their health, or is it just me buying into another lie over and over again?
Oh, dude, that is so good. Like, I carry a toolbox. Here, all the time. That one just got a spot in my toolbox. Does it deliver what it promises to deliver?
Yeah.
That's a tool to carry, bro.
With drinking, I can say that the from my own experience, what I was trying to get at it was to not have to think about and deal with,
to numb, to all that. Yeah, that's right.
The stuff that was hard. I mean, not difficult. We're not talking about, you know, mom's in the hospital and no, just like regular life stuff. Like, I don't think about that. When I'm sober, I think about that stuff all the time. When I'm drinking, I don't think about that stuff. I'm having fun.
But what you wanted was medication
Yeah.
to alleviate the fact that you couldn't solve the problem that was actually the deeper problem,
Or just didn't want to.
or didn't want to.
Didn't
That's
want
right.
to solve
Yeah.
the problem. Because a lot of the problems are pretty darn easy.
Yeah.
You know?
See, I have a problem. I don't get drunk.
Yeah.
Like I don't. I'll sit there. Bourbon is my deal.
Mhm.
I can drink a fifth of Buffalo Trace right now and have absolutely no problems whatsoever. No slurred speech,
And that was
no lack of thought, no nothing.
Yeah.
Actually, you
really
remember-
high tolerance,
Yes.
which is super unhealthy.
It's super unhealthy. My addiction was sex.
Yeah.
It was infidelity. It's pornography. That's my weakness. It always has been my entire life since. I mean, I remember the very first time. I remember what room I was in, what house I was at. The first time that I found out that Playboy.com existed.
Wow. Game over.
Game over. Like that was my. And so drinking for me was an excuse to justify my sexual proclivities.
Hmm.
Oh,
Wow.
I was just drunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I drink, not because I was very careful. Like certain alcohols or certain mixes, I hate being drunk. I despise it because I lose control.
Yeah.
I like to be in control. I like to be able to drive. All the way around. Like I like to be in control.
Hmm.
Drink too much, you no longer have control.
Yeah.
You find out tomorrow what you did yesterday. And I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
But it gave me my excuse of, well, it's because I was drinking.
Mm, that's interesting, man. Yeah, it's good you recognize that, because I'm kind of the opposite. Like I like the feeling of being out of control. And that's a very dangerous. And there can be some healthy dynamics. So I mean, there's definitely with every strength, there's a weakness
100%.
that it can be. And so I am that guy. Like I love being afraid. I like being out of control, and yet. In that way, it was only destructive. Whereas now I found ways to, I ride motorcycles. I'm like, I'm riding safely, responsibly now, but I'm like, this gives me that free feeling of just like, man, this is the best way, the most healthy way to get this out of me. I love flying planes. I'm just with skydiving last week. I'm like, this is the most exhilarating.
See, so that's on my bucket list.
Oh, dude, you gotta do it.
It's always been money. It's always been one of those things where skydive or get something for the kids.
Yeah.
Skydive and if I've never broken that spot where I could justify spending that money against something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I could justify spending it at the bar. I could lots of places I could justify it, right? So it's not a poor me thing. I've just never been in a spot where I could logically justify it. But that is on my bucket list because I do love the fear factor. I love living life on the edge.
In control.
In control.
Yeah.
That's I just don't like being out of control.
Hmm. Mike, are you that way, or are you more like I like to be out of control?
I like to bring order to chaotic situations. That's a big endorphin rush for me. Problems getting fixed. As far as me being out of control, I'm one of those guys when it's too much, I go out in the woods and I scream.
Mm.
And I've actually taught this to my boys too. I'm one of those that, no, I'm not going to face it until I have to. And if it's bothering me that much, I'm going to go just let it out in a different way. And it used to be drinking, was a big part of that. Again, saying, hey, so you don't have to think about it. You drink so it doesn't enter your mind. And then now it's the screaming and stuff. And I know it's a different way of doing it, and it's probably not healthy because I'm not actually fixing anything. I'm just getting frustrated and screaming about it.
Yeah.
But
were you a functioning alcoholic?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 7 a.m. till pass out every day.
Wow.
I would go out for cigarette breaks when I was at work, and that was a shot. When I was working at Klondike, so running the kitchen there, at one point they said, hey, we're pretty sure you're drinking, all day. You're going to need to knock that off. And it's like, yeah, okay, no problem. So what did I do? On my cigarette breaks, I went over to the Moosehead. I didn't even have to ask for it. All I had to do was walk in, and they would automatically pour a double shot of turkey, put it down, I'd shoot that, go smoke my cigarette, go right back to work every hour.
How many years were you like that?
That bad, I'd say probably about 10 years.
Wow.
But as far as regular drinking every single day, since I was 21.
Wow.
Yeah, it was life. It was the first job I got into that was making real money was doing karaoke and sound. And well, that's another thing about how I was able to get as far as I did. I probably paid for about 20% of the alcohol that I consumed. When I finally went into Four Corners, I don't know if I told you about this. My first show that I went back to Four Corners, and it was a country show, and a bunch of people who knew me from before were there, and it was all, hey Mike, it's all great, yeah, hi, it's good, you look good, all this. It was about 10 minutes. 10 minutes passed of me being there before I get called over to a table, and there are 6 shots lined up, and those 6 shots were not to be shared. Those were all for me, bought from all these people. And I tell you what, if anybody who's listening to this, they're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. When it's there right in front of you, so easy, ready to grab, the way your gut twists up, and I'm not talking about, being physically ill from, thinking of throwing, no, that was my soul. That was every fiber of my being going, don't do it. You made it a year. You did a year, and it's so easy to just pick one up.
And it was everything that you had in you not to take.
Everything I had in me, not to take the coin out of my pocket that my wife bought me when I was a year sober, which actually Aaron helped her pick out.
Oh, that's special.
Because I just made a stupid sidewalk comment. We were watching something about alcoholism, and they were talking about coins, and I don't get a coin. Well, they found a coin for me. It's a Phoenix coin. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool, brother.
But I was serious about to take it out, and
how long have you been sober now?
20 months.
20 months, man.
Yeah.
So you've really never known who you are outside of alcohol. I mean, 21, you're still kind of figuring that out.
There's a problem right there. I don't.
And that's what I was going to lead to earlier, and we kind of circled around is...
I have no idea who the hell I am.
You aren't. That's I mean, it's beautiful and it's scary at the same time.
It's terrifying.
Is at 21, you're still a kid. I mean,
yeah.
you really are.
Yeah.
Okay, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I've grown enough to have some responsibility. Yes, I can go out and drink and make some really stupid decisions. But you have no experience of life. You have no history behind you, no responsibilities. You're 21. You get to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And from that moment to the moment of getting sober, you lived in an alcohol case. I mean, that's just what you did.
That's some of the best nights of my life as far as life moments that I could not describe to you. I know they happened, but I don't have the picture. I don't have the movie in my head.
Yeah. And so this is the beautiful and scary part is you want to find yourself. You can't. Take that and forget about it because you're looking for something that doesn't exist. And if you try to find yourself, you will never be successful.
I figured that out.
You have to create yourself because that's what you get to do now. It's that clean slate. You can choose to create it with God, family, country, or you can choose to create it with bar hopping bimbos. You got both ends of that spectrum. You get to create who you are because there is nothing to find.
Which is crazy when you think about considering I'm a writer. You'd think that I'd be all over it. But
Mike, I think one of those things too is the reality. So for me, I used to think like, hey, I'm a social guy, and I could fit into any situation just fine, real quick. But when it came to like big crowds, being at clubs or bars or everything, I thought for years like I could handle social environments, and I couldn't. Until I stopped drinking, I didn't realize, like, man, I can't handle social environments anymore. I was just always drunk, so it made me feel like I'm this person. It's kind of a form of liquid courage. Fighting, I hate altercations now. And there was many years when I was like, dude, let's go.
Let's go.
Like, it was exciting. Like, I looked for those opportunities. So I say that because I also look at, like, the years I spent using people to get money from people, selling them. I've always had an entrepreneurial mind since I was a kid. And I've always been someone who's like wanted to get to the reality of things. That's kind of why church for me at a young age was just boring. So I'm like, I just don't, this feels so fake to me. And so God actually made me that way. I just used it in the wrong way. I had the wrong outlets that I was trying to search for that meaning, that significance in. I look now and I'm like, oh, I'm going to redeem the ways God's made me. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. I love truth. I love getting down to the brass tacks of things. I still like, scary environments. I still like doing those things. I just wanted to redeem how I think God made me to be, to live this life versus the destructive way I was living it before. So I think if you have that gift to write, that passion to write, the screenwriting, all that stuff, all of what you're doing here, like, I think actually there's a very real possibility that God's actually going to start using that as you find yourself, I think what you said, Aaron, is good. Like, you actually have to recreate yourself, because who you were isn't actually who you were. It was just behaviors that you were using to mask those. So I think on that path, like, okay, well, what do I do with this now? Do I have to give up screenwriting? Do I have to not do things that I've always enjoyed doing? Actually, I would say you're probably still going to be doing those. It's just going to be for a constructive purpose now.
One thing that I was thinking about recently was the fact of, those moments. You have those little moments where it's like, hey, you wrote a damn screenplay.
Yeah.
You got it made into a movie. You're traveling over the country right now making it. That was a moment. That was one little moment that fizzled right out. Another thing, with sound. I've had shows that are transcendent with sound, making bands sound better than they've ever sounded and ever will again. Moments, little moments. And I think that was the universe, or God, saying, you can do this, but you ain't ready yet. As somebody kept singing that to me over and over and over again. Switch over to that camera right there. No, that's what when I first came back in December of last year, that's what he told me. Aaron looked at me, I poured my heart out a bit and everything, and he's like, you weren't ready yet. Now you're back. Now you're ready. And that's the thing is, I know I can. I mean, like, the stories alone, I got the stories. The music, the same thing. I know I can, but it hasn't been a consistent thing with me. It's been, hey, here's a moment, just to let you know, you can do this.
But here's the other piece, and I'm going to ask you this in all honesty.
Yeah.
All those moments, all those sounds, all those things, was there a purpose behind them?
And that's what I think is the purpose, was to prove that it is possible without, like, if I had, say with Peaks and Valleys, right? Say with the movie.
And it's a great movie, by the way. I love going to the premiere. Great movie. Okay.
If I had stayed in the same habits that I was when I got back from Peaks and Valleys, and I really was, because we had dividends being put together. We got $20,000 for that and everything. COVID shut it down, and all that. But still, I was on the road but I was falling out before COVID even shut us down. And looking back on that, it's like, no, I would have tanked that. COVID actually saved me.
Yeah.
Having to shut down that business and lose that money that our investors gave us because of COVID saved me for the future, because I was in the process of fucking everything up anyway. Pardon my language.
No, it's good.
So it's so weird, because like those moments, I need to have those moments in my history. I need to have them to show me that I'm not just some average guy who has, a half-baked idea that might be cool for a movie. I have full developed stories in my head. I just got to sit down and actually get them done. And I'm working through this intoxication of depression right now. That is, I come across with a big old smile. I do the morning show. Good morning, Matsu. But I go home. I don't speak to anybody.
Yeah.
And my wife, she talks to me. I love her to death. She's my rock. I absolutely love her. I don't speak to her unless she asks me something.
But this is where I'm going to be a brother and tell you something. And I have fought this with many people. Depression does not exist. It is not a thing. It is a choice that you choose to dwell in.
Yeah.
It really is, because here's the deal. There is God, there's family, there's friends, there is something in the core of your being that talks to you that says, this isn't where you want to be. Because if depression is real, and you're living in it, then you can't truly be depressed, because you don't have something counteracting it. Therefore, depression is an outside overt force on you that you allow to take hold. If you want to overcome depression, it is simply a decision of and development through overcoming. And I say that because I argue with Erin all the time. We get into October and she gets depressed. And she doesn't want to get out of bed. And I go, okay, so here's the deal. And I'm an asshole to her. Like I am. And that's part of our relationship is I promised her. When I need to be, I will be. I don't scream, I don't yell, I don't slam doors, I don't do none of that. I've made those mistakes in the past and they didn't do me no good, right?
Did it produce what they promised?
Not at all, right? So that's one of those things I put behind me. But in the same moment, I am a total ass because I don't pull punches. Like I'm a man's man when it comes to, I'm going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. And we don't have enough people like that in our lives. If we had more people willing to tell us truth, we'd be a better society as a whole.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that society has painted those types of people
as rotten individuals.
Yeah. How dare you? Oh my God.
I had a guy tell me a long time, a mentor of mine, he said, Josh, we have to get to a place where we love truth more than we like being liked.
Yeah.
And once we like hit that moment, then it's like, all right, I'll learn to speak truth. I mean, and again, how we speak truth, we're told to speak truth, love, like, but it doesn't mean speak truth softly. It doesn't mean niceness. Like sometimes that truth is hard truths. And I think going back kind of to the depression thing, like, depression it's just lies that just spin up inside your mind. The problem is I think why people feel stuck in depression so much and so long is because it's like, the Bible talks about taking your thoughts captive. And for me, I'm like, I don't want my thoughts in me. Like, I know what I do with them. So I had no truth inside. I had all these thoughts, all these failures in life, all the things I didn't want to be, all that stuff in here. And that's all. There was no countering to that. So it felt like a disease of depression. And yet it was actually a disease of lies. Like these were things like, oh, you'll never amount. You can't do this. You can't. And those just spool up those lies. And I think sometimes, when we look at our identities, our value, we use the term, it's called the performance equation, and it's our performance plus people's approval, P plus A equals V. Our performance plus people's approval equals our value. And so we can perform, but if we don't get approval, we're like, well, that sucked. I needed to do better. Even if we did great, it doesn't matter. Or if we don't perform well and people approve of us, we think, oh, you're just flattering. I don't need to hear that crap. That's exactly right. So we put our value instead of understanding like, no, we have abilities in us that we can't even imagine. We have been created in ways, certain thought process, certain ways, and all these things that if we put our value in front of those, then it's out of that value that we conquer lies, that we do more than we think we can, that we can. I mean, this is why you have people that can have, maybe they get in a car wreck and they're scared to drive, and so it's like a devastating circumstance for them. But then you have someone who's lived a truly torturous life come out victorious. And they're living completely different lives, kind of opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of trauma, and yet you find these people, like what about these people in them that they can overcome terrible, terrible circumstances? It's that thought process inside going, no, that did not define who I was. So our failures does not define who we are. Our successes do not define who we are. In fact, our performance does not define who we are. And as long as we're submitting our value to how we perform, we're going to be graceless with ourselves. We're going to think, man, I just failed. I suck. I'm an idiot. I'll never recover from this. I'll always be a failure, because we're attaching who we are and the value we have to our performance. And the place we get to is flipping that and going, no, I understand I have an intrinsic value because I believe I've been created by God. And you know what? I might not look like the guy I want to, but man, I am on that path. I'm on that trajectory. And so I am going to fail, and that's okay. That's why successful people will never tell you they've succeeded without failing. They will always have more stories of failure than successes. They just learn to be successful in the right things. But we can't be successful without failures. But people that have their value attached to that, they'll stop as soon as they fail, because they're like, I can't deal with feeling this valueless.
Yep, 100%.
It's kind of like, I don't agree with the person himself, but he did say something really great, and that was Edison about the light bulb. So he didn't figure out how to make a light bulb. He figured out a couple hundred ways how not to make a light bulb.
That's right. Yeah.
Actually, he didn't do any of it, but anyway.
Yeah.
To be fair.
It's funny, yeah, to be fair, he didn't do anything, so whole other conversation, right?
Yeah.
We've got this whole book.
I can't wait to do the Tesla episode, I'm just saying.
We've got running books of topics that come up in conversation. We're like, well, put that one down, that's an episode. Put that one down, that's an episode. Like, we just keep...
That's cool.
The first session we did was 8 pages. 8 pages of nothing but talking points.
Wow. That's cool.
They just kept rotating for me. So many.
And this is a unique conversation for me because the religious side, right? The spiritual side. I hate the word religion, so I'm going to I'm walking that back. It's the spiritual side. I love it, but I have a hard time with it. And we've talked, it's the feminization, it's a lot of different pieces. When it comes to the political side, I can stand up, I can speak truth, I can speak knowledgeable, and I don't feel looked down upon because I am strong, I am masculine, and I am outspoken. I don't feel that way in the church. And I am looking and searching and seeking for a place where I can be strong, masculine, outspoken, and maybe have a different opinion, and it be okay.
Well, yeah, that's interesting, Aaron, because, I look at our political system, and it's like they do actually degrade true masculinity.
Absolutely. One side does.
And that's
the conflict that I love.
Well,
that's the dichotomy.
But I would say even in the church, I actually find there are guys I know that I run with, guys that other pastors I know, other guys in the church, brothers of mine. They're like, these are men's men. So it's kind of like which voice is loudest. And I think just like there are waves, things come and go. I think we are in a wave where actually guys are like, hey, we're either going to be men in the church or we're out.
Oh, I think it's coming back.
Yeah, and just like we've seen over the last 5 years politically, like, people are tired of the lies. They're tired of purposelessness. They're tired of being fed things that actually don't work. So I think it's true, and I love that is boldness. You're like, no, I'll stand up and do this. But I actually think you could do that in the church, and I think you would be met with a lot less resistance than you thought. I think men are starving to have men around them who are that.
So I know I have been met with resistance. One of the reasons I don't like me,
for sure,
and not in a good way. Like I have, and I'm not saying this as a negative because you see me on Sunday, you see me there regularly on Sunday because I have to find that place to belong.
Yeah.
I have to, right? I know that about myself. I need that grounding. There's a thing missing. It doesn't matter how many times I try this, try that, go. It always fails because I don't have that grounded spot where I can be me without judgment. And we started the conversation off earlier talking about why can't we keep the kids? They turn 18, they graduate high school, they're gone. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Go to all 50 states, take the super majority of the churches in every state, and they are empty of 18-year-olds to 26, 28-year-olds. They're empty.
Well, it starts really at 16 when kids start getting their license, and they have that freedom to be like, I'm not going.
Okay, but let's go for sure. Yep. Let's go 16. I'm okay putting it at 16. To 28, 29, that young adult time, there is nothing for a young adult to do in this town and church.
Yeah.
Nothing. I have looked, I have sought, I have a 21-year-old who is hungry to have community, and it doesn't exist.
Yep. And so where do they go?
To the bars.
Right.
They go to the clubs. They go to drugs, they go to the military, they leave. They do anything and everything they can to run as far away as they can so they can find their own circle because we don't give it to them. Mm-hmm. Why? What is it that, what are we lacking as a church that doesn't exist?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to that deconstruction of realizing that Sundays aren't the extent of church. If we get rid of that mentality and go, actually, what are we doing in our relationships? I mean, it's interesting too, you know, because the lecture style of teaching is not the most effective style of teaching.
Nope.
And discipleship does not happen really on Sunday mornings at all.
Ever.
And yet, this is such a big part of people's religion, the big part of their Christian religion. And yet, it's actually very different than the call to go make disciples. And that's why I look at Sundays. I'm like, man, this is an opportunity to meet people, to encourage them a little bit. But this cannot be the end. This cannot. It has to be people getting together, having conversations, getting together for dinner, helping each other out. The way Jesus actually described loving your neighbor.
So why do we do church the way we do? I'm being dead honest here. I'm being dead honest here.
It's a good question.
There is nothing biblical about the way we do church. There just isn't. It's biblical to come together.
Mm-hmm.
It's biblical to have somebody who speaks truth, strengthens, rebukes, educates, teaches. It is biblical to come before Him in praise and worship. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are all biblical things. But the funny thing is,
That could be done in a home also.
it can be done in a home, and home churches are awesome. But if you have a successful home church, it should cease to be a home church in a very short period of time. Right? So we work ourselves as a church. The natural progression is we work ourselves out of what we need and desire into something that destroys what it is that we need and desire. Like that is the natural progression of churches. And I say this because I've been at the founding of like 6 different churches, from 5 people in a living room to 150 people in a church setting it up every Sunday for 2 services. Like I've been there. I've been for all of it. And the thing that we do different in America is it's on a timer, it's on a clock. We get 2 songs, we get 42 minutes of preaching, we get 3 minutes of announcements, we get another 12 minutes of songs, and we're going to end the service and walk out.
All to make it in time for football.
Okay?
That's right.
I mean, that's how we do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And it is what it is. It's not a mockery. It's just that's how it works. Let's look how Jesus did church. How did Jesus do church? I mean, really, how did he do church?
Yeah, I mean, he was sitting with people eating. He was walking around. He was spending time with people in markets and traveling. But we do see evidence of larger gatherings coming together as the disciples, after he ascended and then the disciples sent out in the book of Acts. You do have this assembly of people. I think it still looks very different, but for me it comes down to it's a both and. I just think for too long we have not had the and part. We just said come to church, do this, and think about all throughout history. I mean, Israel wanted instead of God just being their God, they're like, no, we want a king. We want popes, we want priests, we want pastors, we want kings. We want these people to tell us. Just tell me how to do that. So I agree. A lot of Sunday is like deconstructing a lot of people's philosophy that they've grown up in church with. Like, no, we come and you do this, and you're the priest, you're the pope, you're the king, you're the pastor, whatever. You just tell me how to live my life. And yet that's not a Christian life at all.
It's not. And here's my challenge. Here's where I love going to church. I've sought church. It's my alarm. I will go take care of it after this statement, and I'll be off camera for a second.
We just hit the hour mark. We're good for a break if you guys want to take one.
You want to take a quick break? And then we'll come back. So I want to, this is important, so I want to pick it up right here.
Yeah,
So let's take a 5-minute break.
All right, we'll be right back. I don't have the...
We need a splash screen and a good music.
I
let's
don't have a
interject.
splash screen when I had to...
Mike, you got a great radio voice.
No, oh, thank you.
We'll get there.
All right, so we're going to take a short break, y'all. Be all one of you.
Hey, that's somebody, right? That's where it starts, but it creates content.
This is your chance to jump on and get other people to watch with us. So, yeah. Yeah, I definitely got some stuff to work through on production for sure. But, ooh.
That's good, man.
You look good on the screen.
Yeah, that's fun. These lights seem to be doing pretty well. Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's a little bit tan for me, but I just...
We'll get it dialed in.
Yeah, I just have to make a scene for it and save it.
What do you think of the format?
I love it, dude. I love just conversation, rolling with it, relax, chill. Yeah.
It's good, right? No, that's why when you said, what are we talking about?
Yep.
Usually it's politics. I keep my Alaskan Constitution and my U.S. Constitution for reference, ready and available.
Super cool.
But this is where it took it today. And
That's good, man.
You never know. That's
good. I love it.
Yeah.
You never know who needs to hear.
That's my biggest piece is you never know who needs to hear.
Yeah.
So I just wanted, and I know it's going to be probably fairly similar when Mike's here.
Cool.
Then we'll all get in here, and I got Bernadette running for governor.
Oh yeah.
And Mike Shower.
Cool.
They're both going to come on sometime in November.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. I mean, Kelly Chewbacca was on with me on the radio during her campaign a couple of times.
I can get Kathy Tilton if you're interested.
Are you going to see her tomorrow? Are you part of the Valley Coalition, the church?
I don't go to that much anymore, but the VPPN.
Yeah.
Yeah, I because wait, that's on Thursdays. That's on Thursday mornings. I don't know if she goes to that very often.
Whatever it is tomorrow.
Oh, I don't know what's going on tomorrow.
Okay, I'm supposed to tell you, and I'm telling you.
Okay.
So, and I actually want to broach this on here, and not put you on the spot, but I do want to have the conversation part of it. And you're gonna have to come back over and over and over because there's just so much to unpack in these conversations. But SNAP benefits disappear November 1. I was the president of the Matsu Food Bank for 2.5 years. Aaron is the president of the Matsu Food Bank right now.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, huge. We're mega involved with the Matsu Food Bank. And with SNAP benefits disappearing, there's some challenges coming our way real fast.
Yeah.
And Aaron met with Kathy and Jubilee and a couple others today about it. And there's a big meeting tomorrow involving the pastors in making sure that the Valley is ready to take care of the people that are going to need taken care of next month.
Huh. We should definitely broach that. We just grew a bunch of potatoes out back beyond to give to the Valley for the Valley blessing. I'm all about we can talk.
So you need to have a conversation with Aaron like first thing in the morning. Just call her.
That's interesting.
I will make sure you have her. This happened today because Aaron met with them in regards to. So the Matsu Food Bank is different than any other food bank out here because we feed food to all 32 other food banks and pantries in the Valley.
Yep.
Palmer Food Bank gets food from us.
Huh. That's cool.
Yeah. So we're a food bank.
You guys are really involved in the Valley blessing on that thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we support 32 other organizations in the Valley with food to give out to the
That's
people.
cool.
And so Aaron and Kathy and Jubilee and all of them got together today to preliminarily talk about what they're going to talk about tomorrow of how the Valley what the Valley needs to do to be.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Something else we talked about with the Matsubi Bash too.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is a big food drive. Yeah, I mean, maybe not get into the particulars of why, but hey, with what's happening in the country right now, November 1st is going to be, Oh. So yeah, I'm planning on, this Sunday is my last day at my other job.
Oh, cool.
And so one of the big moves that we're going to make family-wise is Sunday is going to be family day.
Cool. Good.
Period.
Good.
So, and I want to start that off with church. The two youngest, they're young enough to start taking part in Sunday school, like a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. And so we got to figure all that out. I got to get in touch, and figure out how everything works and get down there.
Yep.
And Benita was like, "You can go first." She's like, "You just go there, set up, figure everything out."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I can do that." So
Yeah, cool.
and I'm in Palmer, so it's not.
All right.
Like,
Palmer, man.
me too. But yeah, that's basically what it is. Is like, I look at, I'm looking at the situation now and realizing it could be a whole lot better, and the only one stopping that is me. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, I definitely have had to wrestle through, just my involvement in church, burnout, people, the politics of it, and there's so much corruption in churches, and yet I'm like, man, I do feel this. It's like if I see some of these things, man, it's like I want to be part of the solution,
Yeah, that was one thing that turned me off from churches a bit when I became an adult was, watching the evangelists and watching
it's
these
disgusting.
driving around with a $200,000 Bentley,
Yep.
And it's like,
Are we on? Are we on? Or are we off?
oh, we're still on, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
The
the
conversation never stops.
So you remember me telling you about the church that had the witch
Yeah.
with the coven. Her husband, the prophet, owned a private jet.
Oh, man.
They each drove brand new $200,000 Cadillacs. And for a time, I was his right-hand man. I flew around the country with him, preaching and sharing the gospel and going to big old Word of Faith, laying hands, Rhema.
Wow.
Oh, then
Wow.
lots of it. And
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Yeah. I think one of the big struggles and downfalls with pastors is they forget that we're feet washers. Like, we're there to serve people. We're not there to be served. And there is an element that is drawn. I used to, my first couple of years as a pastor, like, I remember the church I worked for, I'm like, man, I was being brought up to replace him when we retired, and this was like plush. It was everything that I'm like, this would be the ultimate. And so he brought me on an executive team, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. And then I just started seeing the inner workings, and I'm like, oh, this is gross to me.
It's sick.
Like, this is not what I thought at all. And there's a part of that flesh, that pride, that ego that wants all of that. But it's like, this does not look like Jesus. And so when I left that ministry, I just made it up in my mind. I'm like, I don't care what people think about how leaders operate and all that stuff. I am a foot washer, and I will lead by examples of that. And it's just one of those things I never want to forget. Like, that is my calling. It's to wash, it's to serve people, help them grow
100%.
there. And yeah, unfortunately, so many churches are pastors are really kind of that, building their kingdom, their empire at the and forgetting that they're there to wash people's feet.
So I have a dichotomy of viewpoints, and I have a real tough time like establishing something in that aspect. Wealth is a very, very difficult, and I'm going to stop myself for a second. There are many kinds of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
I am very, very specifically referring to earthly, materialistic, monetary wealth in this conversation.
Okay.
I'm not talking about everlasting wealth, family wealth. There's lots of wealth.
Yeah.
But we're talking material wealth.
Okay.
So, and I don't want to get too off track, but let me ask you a question. With the rules that are established, if we're talking materially, do you think that Christ was wealthy?
In that context?
Yes.
I think he had, Judas was his financial guy.
Okay.
So he managed money.
Okay.
I don't know, I don't know that there's a whole lot of indication, even outside of Scripture, that talks about the amount of money that they were. But I do think that he used that money exactly how it should be used.
I think he was a very good steward
Yeah.
of his money. I don't think he flaunted it.
No.
I don't think he lived the posh life.
No. He didn't have a home.
However, I don't know that I believe in that interpretation of that. Here's my deal is, I think we've oversimplified and over applied scriptures in our life from a viewpoint. And I think we forget to take it through the context of time, location, reason, purpose. There's a lot more to it than just reading it. And I know it says he has no place to lay his home or lay his head. I believe that was more of a metaphorical statement in the aspect of no place held anything special to another. He was willing to go to all places. All people were his kin. Not that he didn't have a place where he would lay his head. Like literally, in the literal aspect.
Yeah, I tend to look at that and go, for me, it's not descriptive, or it's descriptive. It's not prescriptive. He's not saying, hey, every Christian needs to not have a home.
100%.
So I think it's descriptive. I think for him too, it was also like not practical to have a home. He was traveling all the time. He wasn't gonna. He knew his end. So for him, he's like, I'm not investing in this. No, he didn't condemn Peter for having a home. He never once said, hey, you and your wife, you guys need to sell your home.
Okay. I agree with you in that aspect. It was descriptive, not prescriptive. And he may not have had a home. I'm not saying he did.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't necessarily think that verse says he didn't either.
Yeah.
But there is a lot throughout his lifestyle, his life cycle, and what we do know. Even the kings from the east coming, right?
Yeah.
We sing a song of "We Three Kings of Orient Are," and we have a little a nativity scene that has this, that, and the other. If you look through, and once again, do a little bit of work. They came from the east, a far-off land. You're talking traveling. They traveled for somewhere between 9 and 16 months, right? They didn't come to give him a little gold trinket and a little cup of frankincense and a little bit of myrrh. They brought 300-400 camels. They had a full-on contingent of people to be able to travel that road and not be killed, murdered, robbed, stolen from. And you travel that far to bring a gift to somebody. It's a sizable gift. Like, it just is. Like, logical, right? You go to the times when it comes to the fish and the bread and everything else, and he didn't multiply the fish and the bread because of a lack of supply or a lack of money. He did it because it wasn't available. He turned to the disciples and said, go to town and buy food for, I think it was 5,000 people at that time. I don't know about you, but at no point in my life could I turn to somebody around me and say, hey, I got 5,000 people here hanging out with me.
Are you talking about the fish and loaves?
Yes.
Supplying and all that?
Yes. But they didn't say, we don't have enough money. I mean, you're talking 5,000 people. Right? Put it in perspective. You're talking at the least, we're talking $50,000, $75,000 that we'd have to spend to feed somebody a meal at 5,000 people. Right? Simply taking it to our terms today, if you had 5,000 people,
that's a whole production.
Right? That's a whole production. And he told them, go into town and get us food. Bring it back. And they said, nobody's going to have that much food. They didn't say, but God, we can't afford it. Because I know if you turn to me and say, hey, go get these 5,000 people food, I'd be like, bro, how am I paying for it?
Well, yeah.
That would be my response.
Not where I get. And it might have been, again, it's hard to not read into Scripture, especially with context and stuff, but it's one of those things, I think, go by what you can. And I think that's why that miracle happened in that moment. But
I always thought of it a different way. I mean, there's of course a miraculous way, but I always thought it kind of a hybrid of the two, where it was that he got the people who had the loaves and the fishes, who had it stockpiled, and that's what multiplied it, was bringing them into the participation.
See, that's my favorite part of the story. Like, and I don't say this in a negative connotation or tear down.
This is not stereo instructions.
It's not. But my favorite part is Jesus turns to his disciples and says, hey, go to town and buy some food. We're all hungry. There's 5,000 of us. Go get some food. And they're like, yo, but there's no place I can go get food for everybody. And there's this little boy sitting there, and he hears this conversation. He's got just this little lunchbox that Mom packed him with some fish and some loaves, right? And the faith that must have taken for that little kid, because he didn't say, hey, here's some, maybe if everybody out here has some, we can pull it all together and maybe everybody can get something. He said, here's my lunch so you can feed everybody.
Yeah.
The faith it took for him to just...
But that would be the miracle.
Yeah.
That is the miracle.
Everybody going, hey, here.
Well, a lot of people didn't have more than the day's food to eat anyway, so a lot of those people were showing up with no food.
Nothing.
Yeah, no food at all.
That's one, but just the faith of that little kid who just said, oh, you need it? Here, have mine.
And then to want nothing of it, to the point where it was put down in history as Jesus the one supplying everything. I mean, it's one way of looking at it. We're not trying to be blasphemous or anything, but I mean, that's one way of looking at it, that it was selfless giving by the community to support itself for that one dinner but that was the miracle. It's the way I always looked at it, that it was he inspired the community. When there was all these hungry people, he inspired the community itself to actually chip in. But
so I understand what you're saying, and I think that there's other places where that is highlighted in Scripture. But in that instance, after everyone had their fill, they collected 12 baskets of leftovers. And so it wasn't a natural miracle of causing people to share and care and take care of each other, which would be a miracle. But in that instance, it was multiplied so much that after everyone had their fill, there was tons of
which I think is just an interesting principle. Like, he could have just multiplied enough to feed, but yet I think it was like Jesus showing, look at the generosity of this little kid, and I am going to bless beyond what he did. Yeah. And I have no doubt that kid went home with probably two baskets, right?
Right. So I take those stories of the Bible and I love to use them to teach kids.
Yeah.
I have such a heart for teaching kids because if you can teach them core principles young, so one of my brothers got in some big trouble, 15 years old. And when my mom found out, we were sitting there talking, and she was just devastated. And she goes, "What did I do wrong? How I raised you guys in church and the Bible and homeschooled you guys. I did everything I know how. What did I do wrong? How?" And God laid something on my heart that day that I got to share with my mom. And I said, there's another verse that's misquoted, and it says, we don't misquote it, but we misapply it. And it says, raise a child up in the way that he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. Right? We forget that when they're young, they're not old. And we assume that if you raise them up in the way they should go,
that they're guaranteed
that they're going to stay on that path.
It's a principle. That proverb is a principle.
But it also says when they're old. Yeah. There is an expectation of them departing from that path at some point and having to find a way back. But instilling that. But instilling that. Yeah, exactly. Instilling that core principle in them young enough that they can find it when they come to seek it back is our job as parents. Mm-hmm. And now that brother is an amazing person.
That's cool.
Right? And so it's not that they won't depart, it's that they'll come back. And so the other day at church, I never have cash. Never, ever. I don't carry cash. It's just, it's not a thing. I happen to have cash in my wallet during a specific service that somebody spoke that was quite touching. And I pulled my wallet out and I pulled out $40. And I turned to the little 11-year-old. And she hates church. She hates church. To the point where she slammed doors and everything else a couple weeks ago. And I went and sat and had a long conversation with her. And I said, look, here's the deal. You're allowed to hate church. That's a feeling. You have 100% authority and permission to hate church. But I am telling you that while you're living in my house, your action is you're going to get up, you're going to get dressed, and you're going to go to church with us. You can choose to hate it the entire time you're there, and that's okay. And you won't get in trouble for hating it. But you're going to go, and you're going to go with good attitude because I'm telling you you're going to. So she's been going like, that was great. I acknowledge the fact she doesn't want to be there. I acknowledge the fact that she hates it. And she's been the best one about getting up, getting ready, going, the whole thing. So the other day at church, I gave $40. And I said, see that basket up there? I need you to go up there and go put that in that basket. She looked at it, walked out, threw it in the basket, and then walked back. By the time she got back to her seat, I pulled another $40 out of my wallet. And I handed it to her. I said, that's for your pocket. And had she asked the question, had she said, do I have to? She never would have gotten that blessing. But the fact that she looked at it, realized what it was, walked up, followed the instruction, and came back, instantly, she got her blessing of the exact same thing. To be able to use that principle.
Yeah, that's my 9-year-old. We just had a mission conference, and we have a bunch of missionaries coming from all over the world, and he's 9. We don't pay them a ton. We pay them when they work hard and all that stuff. And so he's been saving up for a long time for an RC car. And he had like $58 or something, so he scrounged everything. And he's been asking, like, hey, how much more do I need? What work can I do? All this stuff. and for some reason he wanted to give this money to this missionary. And so I'm like, well, hold on, before you get all, in the emotional charge of it, why? He's like, well, what do they use the money for? I'm like, well, they use the money for telling people about Jesus. He's like, well, then I'll give it to them. Like, because we get to hear about Jesus, so I want to give it to him. I'm like, this means you can't buy an RC car. He's like, yeah, it's okay though. Like, I'll be able to make more money. I'll be able to save more. And to this day, he has no idea how much I'm going to spend on him throughout the next. He just has no idea. And I wasn't going to let that be a motivating factor. He just wanted to give out of the goodness of his heart. And I'm like, I'm not going to rob him of that opportunity. That kid just earned a lot of blessing from me. I'll tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'll bend over backwards to make sure he can get that RC car now.
100%. I love being able to use those moments to teach those principles. Yeah. So I say all of that to say this. I have a tough time differentiating like a pastor that's wealthy versus a wealthy person who's a pastor. And they're two different things. I think that every pastor ought to be wealthy. I do, in worldly possessions. One, because I truly believe that it is a blessing and a benefit of doing righteous that I can take care of my family. It doesn't mean not walking through the valley. It doesn't mean the challenges. It doesn't mean the overcoming. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be times where you got to trust God to give you the rice and beans that you're going to eat tomorrow, because you have to have that with God too. Like you have to exist in that time of complete faith, right? But I firmly believe it's that go forth and prosper, go forth and replenish the earth, tend the fields, be a receiver of your blessings. So I believe that every pastor ought to be wealthy. I don't believe any pastor ought to be wealthy off the church. Right? Yeah. But we put so much honor, and this is where the dichotomy comes, is there's this thing of, well, you're the pastor, now you work 80 hours a week, which I know pastors, they work a tremendous number of hours. It's not labor, but dude, I'm
I miss labor at times, man.
Right?
I swing him,
right? Okay? 100%. But our pastors, they work a lot.
Yeah.
And some of that work is just the spiritual battle, the preparedness that comes. It's not just work, right? And so how do you align the fact of you still have a worldly responsibility of providing for the family? You have a social responsibility of attempting to at least give them some benefit against, and weigh that against the need to contribute to the church, the need to contribute to your job, the need to perform. How do you balance that? Like that's a real question, and I don't know that I have an answer for it.
Yeah. I think for my wife and I specifically, like I've been in vocational ministry. I'll say I think people are involved in ministry all over the place, and our pastors are on the title. But we've been in vocational ministry, working, as pastor in the church in different capacities, and there's been times that we have lived on nothing but rice and beans, and we're like, Lord. And for us, we watched God provide in miraculous ways, and just like unbelievable, that built our faith. And I'm like, this is awesome. I'm not even afraid. I'm not worried at all. And then there's been times that we've been, other times we've been like, I can breathe a little bit. I can actually, put a little bit in time, and I can actually take my family on vacation or something, in those. So for me, it's more so like we're finding a way. Like that's why even when I started that Renewal, Alaska, which is that nonprofit, doing counseling work, I'm like, my commitment to when I started that was like, I will never charge the people I'm working with.
That's beautiful.
Because I just don't want there to be any of that in the way. I'm like, I'm going to trust God because I've seen Him provide. So I'm going to trust God that He'll take care of our needs as we just keep pouring out to people. I don't think it's a prescriptive thing. It's just something I wanted to do, like a way that I can adventure with Jesus. I'm like, all right, God, let's see what you can do. So I'm actually, I hold no reliance on man as my provider, because I have been in both situations, and I've worked as hard as I could and still not been able to provide. And then all of a sudden God's like, boom, here's a blessing, and I didn't work hardly anything for it. So I really take the approach of, if my wife and I have extra money and stuff, if it's a month and you're not fixing cars or whatever else at the time, then we look, we're like, well, who around us needs help? And there's never a shortage. It's the minute we open our eyes, I'm like, oh, this person's going through a hard time. Let's buy this. Let's do this. And we love doing it subversively, or behind the scenes. Like, we'll just, I don't want to do nothing. We won't even know where it comes from. And that's like, for us, that's just an exciting way, especially during COVID. When we had some friends lost their job and deliberately because they refused a lot of to bend the knee towards it. And I'm like, you know what? This guy just did an honorable thing. And I'm going to help a brother out right now. And we were giving more away than what our entire bills were. Like, we were helping. And for us, it was not some noble thing. It was like, yeah, this makes sense. And we get to see God provide for us. And He did. He did. Like, that's the thing. Like, my family's, I mean, we have definitely been without, I don't have retirement. I don't have anything like that. Like, it's very minimal. And I'm like, you know what? I'd like to be better about that and figure that out. There's going to be a day that I'm going to need to think. My mind's not going to last forever. It's already going on at 42.
I'm 43 years old. I do not know what it feels like. I have never felt not living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
I have no idea. To me, like, people have their dreams of the big mansion and all that stuff. I want an acre.
Yeah.
I mean, it's perspective, it's a different thing. But that, like, for me, that's I made it. When I have an acre of bare land, that will be the moment that I feel like I've actually accomplished, done something. So, I know.
Remember that report I told you? I told you. I said, put it together.
Yeah, so I get it, and it's different for all people. And it's like you look at somebody who's been raised in the lap of luxury. They're not evil because they don't know what it's like to be hungry. They just don't know what it's like to be hungry. I tell people all the time, there's a big difference between being stupid and being ignorant. Ignorant is not having the information. Stupid is having the information and choosing to ignore it.
Yeah.
And that could be, he's already breaking it down right there.
I think there's a stigma around, this false sense of holiness of saying, riches is evil, money's evil, and poverty is holy. So like the first church I worked at, their philosophy was keep them poor, keep them humble, and if you need help, go get state help. Like, I've been there. It was crazy. And then it was, we worked 6 days a week, and our day off was Sunday because everyone else was working during the week. And so our day off, and I'm like, in ministry, I'm like, Sunday's a huge go day. It's like, but that didn't matter. That was just the philosophy. And it's really
Sunday's rough. How did you do that in ministry?
We still worked. They just considered that off day because it was messed up, man. It was
okay.
And so, but there's a false sense of holiness. Like, well, you have to be poor, and that's the holiness. And or boy, if you're wealthy, that's unholy. And it's like, actually, Jesus never makes those distinctions. We should never attach ourselves to those things. Like, and I think that's the thing. It's like, man, it's just a dangerous trap. One's a hyper spiritual trap, and the other is a I guess they're kind of both hyper spiritual traps.
They are. And I think on both sides of the economy.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, when I was young, when I was 17, like I said, I moved out to Seattle. I immediately, the day I turned 18, I started making like 120, 130 grand a year doing work over in Seattle. And for that young kid, I was like, I'm gonna try everything. It was terrible trouble. And I think I think other than the last maybe 5 to 7 years, I am actually very thankful that God never allowed me to have anything more than barely getting by again, because I didn't have the thought of, hey, I have extra money, who can I give this to? What good can I do with this? It was all inward focused. And I'm so thankful now. Now I'm like, I don't care either way. I want to have enough to invest in my kids, invest in people around me, help those that need help, and just enjoy that piece of life, that 1 acre versus the ranch. I used to like, give me the ranch. Give me 4,000 acres and a bunch of cattle and horses. I'm good. Now I'm like, actually, an acre's peaceful.
Right.
I'll take an acre.
Just as long as I can call it mine.
Yeah.
I built 2 houses with my dad. And that's the only time in the entire time that I knew that man that he was ever content.
Wow.
Was when he was in the houses that he built.
Hmm.
And the first one we lost, the second one he lost. And I remember that. I remember an angry, bitter, abusive man who looked for reasons to, and he was never happy, and he was, always drinking, but as soon as the first house was done, everything was different. He was still an angry, bitter man, but he wasn't taking it out on me. He wasn't taking out the fact of he doesn't have the life he wants because he chose to take this girl and this kid in. Because that's what I was a whipping boy all through growing up, And it's weird because that's the one thing I really envied was watching him sit on a porch, and do nothing and just sit there and stare at the tree line. That was the edge of the property,
Yeah, who knows what was wrong with that mind, all those thoughts, that silence.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember, growing up in Southern California, we spent a few years living in a bus on a pig farm in Bull Canyon, California. We had
Where?
In Bull Canyon, and we lived in this trailer, terrible neighborhood, man. We got broken into twice while we were sleeping. We moved out of California because someone came down and was shooting up all the houses. My dad's like, we're out of here. So I've always had that lust for finer things. I love leather. I like all that stuff. But I used to have so much man, I'll be someone if I can achieve this. And then I achieved a lot of it, and I'm like, oh, this is not the peace I want, And so it's kind of that pendulum swing of, man, what is actually the fulfillment? And people that say money can't buy happiness, it's a joke. I really think it's a joke. You ask a person who can't pay their bills, and they get enough money to pay their bills, they're happy about it.
Absolutely.
I don't think it buys fulfillment, and the things our souls are actually after, but boy, it definitely buys happiness.
That's very, very well put. That 100%.
And happiness is a joy. Happiness is a superficial aspect of joy. That joy sustains through the ups and downs. Happiness is like, hey, you have to peak, and that's good. Celebrate the summers.
That's it.
It's summertime and I'm happy.
But you got to also, like you said, you got to learn to thrive and celebrate the winters.
Yeah.
And driving home, right? So much has happened. I was telling you earlier, I could go on for nights on just the miracles, changes that have happened in my life in the last 6 months. But Erin is huge on Halloween. Every tattoo on every one of her arms is poison apples and haunted mansions, and she is into Halloween. I've never done Halloween my entire life. I hate it. I despise it. I can't stand it. I wish it didn't exist. I could keep going, but I think I made my point. And she does Halloween big time. Fundraisers, events. So for the time we've been together for the last 5 years, I have done Halloween. Begrudgingly. She knows it's begrudgingly. And I straight up tell her, I'm only doing this because this is your deal. So I'm here because I'm supporting you.
Labor of love, baby.
That's it. Labor of love for no other reason. And through my time, over the last 5 years, I have prayed continuously of, God remove this burden from me. God remove this burden from me. But as long as I'm committed to her, if that's her deal, I'm going to put in the work and the effort to do it with her. Regardless of whether I like it or not, it's an irrelevant discussion. It's my duty. Right? So last week on the way back from church, she goes, I can't do Halloween anymore. I go, what do you mean? She's like, I can't do it.
No, not provoked by any conversation you had with her. That's interesting.
That's part of why she's in winter right now, because things are dying. Her old self is falling away, and she feels lost. She doesn't.
I was staying quiet.
She doesn't know. Who am I?
Wow.
Like Halloween's been her third wedding. She's like been through. Okay, we've got some history behind us. But the marriage to two of her kids' dad was Friar Tuck performed the ceremony. She was a zombie bride. The entire wedding party and event was Halloween. It was on Halloween night. Everyone was in costume. Like, it is a core piece of her being is Halloween. And this year she just said, I can't do it anymore. So we have one event left to do. That's this year because it's a fundraiser for the Matsu Food Bank. It's called the Matsuvian Monster Bash. We've raised like $20,000 for the Matsu Food Bank through putting this event together. We're going to bring out all the decorations, set up Everett's for a free 2-hour trunk or treat.
That's cool.
And when it breaks down, it's going somewhere else that she's going to donate it off because she just can't do Halloween anymore. And so my last 5 years have been winter. Solid winter. And it's not in a bad way, but in a way of we own a radio station that's a rock and roll entertainment radio station. I've never listened to rock and roll in my life. I don't know the music. I don't know the people. I don't know the histories. I don't know the... It's not a thing for me.
Yeah.
I listen to either... I love country music, old country. I love classical music. And I love Christian music. That's what I grew up with. Those are the 3 genres that I listen to. I can tell you every single Christian song from every Christian group from all of Americana. Like, I can tell you names, locations, dates. Like that's my jam.
DC Talk.
No, DC Talk.
No, not now.
So I actually got to meet them.
Yeah,
I was 9 years old in Kenai.
Oh, wow.
8 years old in Kenai.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to have lunch with them. It was pretty dang cool.
One of the first cassette tapes I ever got.
Really?
DC Talk tape, yeah.
My parents thought they were too hard. We have to sneak DC Talk. Can you believe that?
I know. So that was all my growing-up years, right? Toby Mac, Michael Tate, and Kevin Max.
Yeah.
Like, and that was the birth of my Christian music was DC Talk. I mean, from DC Talk through Free at Last through every one of those albums, right? And it was the Newsboys back before when they were the old Newsboys, right? So those are the things I know. And we bought a radio station because I knew that it was God. I knew for a fact this was where God wanted me. But it was rock and roll. It was big Halloween events. It was all the things we did. It was my winter, bro. I hated every moment of it. But I did it because I knew it's what I had to do. Right? And it's a weird spot because now I'm coming into that spring of, dude, I got my daughter and her brand new husband and brand new grandbaby. Got another 2 boys that are both engaged. I get my boys graduating, the other one's working. It's like just this renewal and new launchings in my life. And so for me, I'm like, I'm finally coming out of it. And Aaron's going, I don't know if I can own a rock and roll station anymore. I don't know if I can do it. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, how do we, can we make money? Can we be successful? Can we make it a Christian music station?
Probably not us.
Okay.
Maybe though.
We're not interrupting. We're just changing something real quick.
Oh.
I'm thinking it's going to work better. Stretch that out. Go that way. That way I can get more of your face.
Okay. Perfect for me. Perfect. So
we've only got one person watching.
That's okay. That's someone's going to see this episode someday that's going to matter.
That looks worse.
Okay. You can put it where you want. So for me, she's in this place where she doesn't know if she can run a rock and roll radio station. She knows she can't do Halloween anymore. All these changes are coming in her life where her identity is being stripped away from her. In her, right? And once again, not in a bad way. She's not upset about it, but she is sad about it.
Yeah, I think there's an element like we talked about in Ecclesiastes 3. There's a time to mourn over stuff. Like I mean, those are deep things when you attach things to your identity and you're like, man, I'm lost without this thing. There's a sense like we shouldn't deny like, oh, I'm happy about this. Like there's a sense of loss of those things, even if they weren't great for us. There's still that reality of loss, but the belief that, well, man, if this is dying off, what's going to come up in the spring?
That's it. That's it. So it's just funny how life goes the way life goes.
Yeah.
My winter was her summer. She got recovery. She got her family back. She got her kids back. She got a documentary made about her. She got a radio station. She got popular. She got all the things. Was my winter. And now that I'm given into the spring summer type of just flourishing,
It's
her winter.
Yeah, it's that whole marriage is never 50-50. If it's 50-50, you're doing it wrong. Because sometimes you're going to need more.
Yeah.
And sometimes she's going to need more. And that's where the balance lies, is understanding where you guys are sitting in the situation as a couple, as, you know, those who've chosen to mate for life, to have one life together. So that's pretty crazy how that works out, right?
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's been very few times. I mean, I'm married 18 years coming up, and I think there's been very few times that my wife and I have been in the same season together. And it used to drive me crazy, but then I'm like, man, that's actually been a huge help. You know,
Saving grace, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, for both of us to be in winter, and it might come. I mean, it might come. You know, there's a reality of life that, man, we can lose a kid, or we can get a disease, or something that devastates life. But when that time comes, I heard someone say God gives grace in present tense. And it's like the grace for today is not the grace for tomorrow. That grace will come if we need it. You know, and so it's like, hey, what season am I in? What day am I in? What am I going through now? That I'm like, man, I need some grace, and God's giving it. You know, whether it's me being in a season of strength and her going through it, or vice versa. You know, I love that. And also not just within my marriage, like within my friendships, within the brothers I have. Like, man, I have some guys I'm like, I'm going through it. They know it. They can see it on me. Like, dude, you're going through it. You're not okay. I don't care what you say. And it goes both ways. I think that's the benefit of having community, having friendships around you. Man, you're pouring into and they're pouring into you.
Yeah, and we have to circle back to it because we still never actually got to the crux of it. I think that's what's missing for the younger generation is that community. And it's not community about jumping up, bouncing balls, and laughing and goofing. And they want something of substance.
I think they've replaced that internal sense of a need for community has been replaced, though, to the point where they no longer have to look past as far as they can reach their arm. They've created their own sense of community through this horrible thing.
I think it was that way, but I think there's actually movement out of that.
That's exactly what I was
I
going
think
to say.
they're going, man, I feel like they learned that lesson in the last 5 years. They learned, like, oh, this is not real. This is not real. This is not real. And shutting down schools and forcing separation of relationship, I think, and all you had was the screens, I think that set everyone to go, whoa, wait a minute, this isn't the real thing.
I mean, my 7-year-old boy has more community than I ever did growing up, and I grew up before social media.
Yeah.
Right? And he had some advantages I didn't have in community aspect. But his football team, his FFA chapter, they are his family. Like, he got to be the chaplain and a captain for the football team his senior year. So he got to say the prayer at the prayer rock on the way out to the field every single game this year. And when he got that, he called me. It was like the number one proud dad moment I've ever had. Because we were talking about him getting captain, you know, because you only get 3 captains.
Where's he play?
Palmer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so he called me and I was like, oh, did they decide on captains? He's like, no, we voted tonight, but we'll find out tomorrow. But it doesn't matter if I get it or not. I'm like, oh, that's a good attitude. He's like, no, I already got what I really wanted. I was like, what's that? He goes, the coach asked me if I'd be the one to say the prayer every game on the way out at the Rock. And I was like,
Dude.
oh, you talk about just breaking me, right? He was okay not getting captain because he'd been asked to say the prayer on the way to the field every time. So that was like this moment of proud daddy moment. But they pray together. They play together. They eat meals together. They break bread together. They do so much together. It blows my sense of community when I was in high school just out of the water. And that is because, like you said, when they were forced to be separate, they needed it so much that and so I think that, I mean, it was even that way when I was in high school. Was church didn't offer anything for a young man. There was nothing. it didn't exist. I could go hang out with the girls on a Wednesday night. But all the guys were girls too. Like,
dude.
okay.
Yeah.
I was snowboarding and smoking weed with.
Yeah. I mean, we were so hungry for manhood that we lived out in the country. We built a jump track for our trucks and cars. And we got in so much trouble that I totaled my Lincoln. Okay? But I needed to be a man. I destroyed it. I got in so much trouble.
You're not the only one. We used to go down to the tow auctions in Juneau, and we drop a couple $100 on a piece of
Junk.
and then we had down Dredge Lake Trail. There was just enough of an incline before it dropped off into the lake. We used to play chicken, which is before people get in the car, and we roll all the windows up, put on the seatbelts. The last one to get out is the winner. And, I mean, stupid. Absolutely stupid.
But that's what young people crave. And that is what the church does not offer them. There is, and I'm dead serious, like this is a real challenge to you as somebody who has the ability to cause an effectual change. What do we do? What can we create? How can we give that 16 to 28-year-old crowd something to stay home for?
Yeah, that community, and the reality is we have to create an environment where we're helping them answer the questions they're asking at that age. Career, relationships, and entertainment, fun. I mean, genuine community. They're not in high school anymore. They're not really adults yet. Like, what does that look like? And I think and it's hard.
I'm not saying it's easy, bro.
Yeah. And I think there are some good things happening. I see, I know there's a group that they meet for coffee, once a week, and they just go hang out at this coffee shop, and they're just hanging out. They'll stay till it closes, and they'll go to a movie or go do. So there's little pockets of it. The hard part is like going back to that. The consumer mentality of church, because we rely so much on the organizational piece of it. Go, hey, you're the pastor, you pay, tell me how to live spiritually, provide everything for me, babysit my kid, all these things. And yet it's like, and then you've got to preach this idea, like, no guys, this is a whole community. Like, we're one person can't do this, a team cannot do this. Like, it's us interacting with each other and helping the moms. There's a mom. And moms are with little babies, man, they're busy and it's just life's hard. And she's like, I actually want to go meet other moms. And so she started this Tuesday morning where they just meet at church and their kids play and they just talk. Like they have like adult conversations, adult time. And I'm like, that's so cool. She just took it upon herself and going, hey, this isn't provided, but I'm going to provide it. And that's kind of been my approach with like, I don't understand why people waste their Sunday mornings if they're just there to be religious. Like, I'm personally not that way. I'd be a horrible rule keeper. I never did well in that. I'm like, well, I'm going to sleep in, or I'm going to go hang out or go fishing or something. I'm not. So when I look at it, I'm like, I want to be intentional about that time. And my wife's actually the one. She's an introvert. She's a homebody. And she's like, she told me a couple years ago, she's like, I want to stop just talking to people I know. I can do that at home. I want to be there, and I want to meet someone new every week, because you never know the winter someone's walking in. And if we can be a place of encouragement, a place where they can meet someone else to go outside those doors and do some life together and be a support, then man, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. And I will leave the church conversation with this, and this is something that I had growing up, big time, that I miss so much, and that is, and every church did it a little bit different, but it's the potluck.
Potlucks are great,
right? And it wasn't about the food, because the food usually sucked. All of the good stuff was gone by the time you got there. Okay? I mean, you never know who was making it. Okay? Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't about food.
Beans and hot dogs left.
But what it was about was everybody contributing.
Yeah.
It was about all the parents come together, and it's like they figured out how to serve it. They figured out how to set up the tables, and it wasn't going to a restaurant together and breaking bread, because that's cool, but it's not the same. Because you'd start setting up, and the moment you got out of the vehicles, the kids would disappear into the woods, the playground, wherever we could get to get away from the work. I mean, it's just a fact. Because you knew that when we were done eating, you were going to get roped into the cleanup work. So I'm going. That's it. Disappear.
You get bad food, last in line, and we're going to clean. No, I'm out.
Right? We'll clean when we get back. Like that part we can't get away from.
Isn't that just the military? No.
Yeah, right? That's what I'm saying. They go to these things because that sense of community doesn't exist. It is something that I have looked at churches for that sense of community since I was young. I can't find it. And if me saying this is you telling me next week plan a potluck, then throw the challenge at me and I'll make it happen, okay? But I need that sense of community. And that's the part that, no, you're not going to find it on a Sunday morning, but I don't think that the other things that the church as a whole does, and this is not, like I said, it's not to beat on churches because I know what I need. It's just something that doesn't exist. Like it is we do Sunday family dinner, we call it.
I know so many families do that. I love that.
Okay.
So good.
And dude, sometimes it's not family members that show up. Everyone knows it's invited. Sometimes they don't feel like it. Sometimes we're in a fight. They don't want to come. Like, so it's not everybody all the time, but it's always there. Every Sunday, we do family dinner. Show up or don't show up. Less leftovers or more leftovers. Any way we look at it, it's family dinner.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it creates a sense of community. The church needs more of that. That is what I am missing. That is what I am hungry for. And I've been hungry for it since I was a young kid. I can tell you the number of times I've come back to a church looking for that sense of community.
I think that's honestly probably one of the things that I'm really looking at is, my family is who lives in my house. And I was talking earlier about the quote-unquote friends that I had, that obviously were not friends. And then looking at, like, Aaron. And I'm like, that's what I need. I need somebody who, no matter how long I was gone, I can step right back in like it's nothing. And I've never had anything like that.
It's hard to find. I mean, it really is hard to find in all areas of life. But we should be leading the way in that.
We should be creating it with intentional purpose.
Yeah.
That's where we fail. And I will gladly put myself in that seat too, because I could have done any of this. There's a lot of things I could do.
Yeah.
But we started the conversation of what's missing.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to circle back to, at least to just my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's good. I just recently started a meeting with a group of guys on Thursday morning. We meet at 6, and some of them I kind of knew, others I didn't know really well. And it's the most unique group I've ever been a part of, because it's like we just jumped right into like the real life crap. I mean, there was like from day one, like, all right, we're here, we're not going to be here wasting our time. Let's just jump in, man. And it has been the most life-giving group, and now we're getting our families together. I'm hearing stories about, like, hey, this guy, works construction, came over and replaced my septic for me. All of a sudden, there's this community, this working organism that's beginning to take place in these friendships that are being built, and then they're serving the community in different ways. They're going to help this widow to do something, and I'm like, oh my goodness, man. All from just stemming, getting together with a group of guys, going, I don't know, guys, what are we going to do? Well, let's talk life, let's talk struggles, let's pray for each other, encourage each other, all that stuff. And it's not religious at all. Like, we're a bunch of goofball idiots trying to figure life out. That's the reality now. Our wives are getting to know each other more, and so
I think those are the things that we need to find a way. And I say we, because I'm willing to put in some work to help. Because I got a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 22-year-old. That if I don't give them something to get engaged on,
they'll get engaged somewhere.
That's right.
Yeah, that's my story.
And it can't be what Daddy has, because they're not interested in anything that Daddy's engaged in.
Yeah.
But they are all hungry for church right now. All three of them drove themselves to church on Sunday to come sit next to me, okay? So
cool.
Huge win.
Yeah.
But I got to figure out how to keep that going.
Yeah.
And with that, we have hit the end of our time. So I'm going to give you the last word. Leave us with a gem, brother.
Oh man. I would say don't mistake good for easy. Sometimes the best things in our life are the hardest things we'll take on. That includes going to war with yourself, coming to grips with reality, accepting truth, speaking truth, all that stuff. Like there is a big difference between good and easy. Sometimes it's just buckling down, doing hard things to produce something good. So, Mike, that goes for you too, man.
Nothing I do is easy.
But we really don't do well with comfort. We get lazy. We get complacent. Yep. Apathetic, man. That's a killer.
Yeah.
So
that's one of my ADD issues is what they call ADD paralysis, where I'm sitting there for hours and it looks like I'm doing absolutely nothing. It looks like I'm just spaced out, whatever, watching TV. In reality, in my head is a voice screaming at the top register, "Get up, do this. You have all this stuff to do. Just get up." And apathy is I can't stand it. And it comes down to, just like you were saying earlier, just do it. Just get up. But it's like,
Well, you guys are going to have Mike on in a couple of weeks, I think he said. And
I think next week actually is Mike. Yeah.
He's actually the one person probably that I would credit, he might not even know this, of still being in the church. Because he challenged me one time and he said, "Josh, what if you lean into the pain and see if God lets you in that pain?" And I was like, because I bitter, I had nothing to do with it. I was like, it just, for some reason, that thing struck me, and I'm like, ooh, what if it is in the pain that's where God wants to meet me instead of running from it? And I did it. And man, it was one moment after another of God just like giving me strength back, healing a lot, and bringing it. And I remember that phrase. He probably has no idea the profound impact that made on me. So, but yeah, lean into the pain, man. That's where sometimes we find ourselves. That's where we find freedom is in the pain of reality. And so. It's a hard thing, man. Again, life is hard, man. Cool. Thanks, man. This is great.
Thanks for coming down, and we'll definitely have you come down again. Well, I'll spend next week with Mike, and then we'll get it set up where we can have three of us in here, and we'll come have a.
Oh, you got a blast, Mike. He's a great conversation, man.
Yeah,
he's like I refer to him as like the modern Renaissance man. The guy is in the medical field, he can sew leather, he can do woodwork. I'm like, dude, is there anything you can't do? So he's a great guy.
You talk about his life, and you can just smell that burnt leather mixed with a little bit of bourbon. Scents also beard oil. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Cool, Mike. Man, it's good being here.
Thank you so much for
coming down, and come join us again next week.
Absolutely.
In the conversation room.
It's getting better and better.
That's it. Come watch us grow, because, man, we need a lot of it.
We need some people on here.
Thank you.